Hey there everybody, my name is Ben Moote. Welcome to Hack That Funnel Radio. You know, it's not very often that you get to meet somebody online through the camera who you feel like you've actually met in person at the moment. But today's interview is just that. Today's interview was spectacular and I can't wait to share it with you. So have you ever wondered, how do I get clients without being salesy? Or how do I actually sell? I know I'm good at this, but how do I actually sell the darn thing? Today you're gonna have all those questions answered and more from a good friend of mine. His name is Landon Porter. I'll let Landon tell you his story, but he literally started this game coming out of corporate America and turning his business into something that he felt comfortable living in. And surprisingly, when you do that, the customers come automatically. How does that work? That's what Landon Porter is going to be teaching us on this very special interview. But as you're listening, if you hear something that you absolutely love, give this video a like, subscribe, hit the little bell so that way you know when we put out the next video. Now let's make some sales. I have spent the last 5 years building hundreds of marketing funnels and systems for over 100 clients, and I can tell you, most of you are skipping the most important part of the funnel build. There is a secret step-by-step blueprint that makes every sales funnel profitable. What is it? That is the question, and this podcast is the answer. My name is Ben Moote, and this is Hack That Funnel Radio. So Landon, thank you for being on today. I want to welcome you on to Hack That Funnel Radio. Thanks for hopping on. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
So you have your own podcast, so I appreciate you taking the time to hop over on mine. If people needed to know something about you in about a minute or so, what is the one thing they need to take away from knowing who Landon is?
I've been a sales guy in corporate sales for about 15 years. And my stance is just because somebody can be your client doesn't mean you should let them.
Got it. And that's the way you lead your entire business right now. You've got Guerrilla Army Nation, and you literally teach people how to get clients, and you say don't sell to everybody. That's kind of your main pitch. So when did you decide to, leave corporate America and do your thing?
It was back in 2015, and I decided I'd had enough. I was done with sales. So my wife and I went and did our own thing. Ended up in the parenting space, coaching parents dealing with kids who were going from little kid to preteen and had access to social media. And the parents didn't know anything, like any idea of what their kids were able to access on the internet and what was going on. We spent about a little over a year in that space. And I bought a Facebook ads course. It was probably the 6th or 7th Facebook ad course that I bought, but things change, right? So I bought a Facebook ads course. I ended up in a community of people who were sold the dream, right? Here's this amazing thing. It's cookie cutter. If you go get clients for it, you'll make $1 million next Wednesday. And of course, that was BS. In that period of time, I'm asking questions of some people that are fairly knowledgeable as it applies to running ads. And because of that, I'm building relationships with them. And through that, I'm finding out that they're having a really hard time turning free trial clients into paid clients. They're having a hard time selling the thing that they do, right? They give it away for free, but then they have a hard time turning those people into clients. So I ended up in December and January of 2016, 2017, coaching about a half a dozen people on how to do that, client acquisition. And in January, 5 people in 3 days were like, dude, you need to do this. You need to teach this. And I was like, dude, no, I don't. I have no interest. Here I am about 3 years later with this whole business around helping people get clients. Essentially, I was dragged into it because my take is so different. Initially, I figured there's going to be enough hate and disdain for my way of doing it from the other people that teach sales training and coaching that I don't really I don't need to do this. I don't have any real desire to do this, but there was enough of an interest for it. Somebody created a Facebook group. One of those 5 people created a Facebook group, added 84, 85 people into it and said, go do a live and tell people what you think about sales. And I did. And it just so happened to be right at the right time when people were starting to do Facebook lives, and it just totally caught and totally took off. So that's how we're here.
What did it take for you to figure out what your genius zone is?
Sure. I started in sales when the food industry, nights, weekends, and holidays no longer worked for having 2 little kids. I was in my early 20s. I ended up in sales. and I was good at it, right? I learned all the dirty tricks. I learned all the psychology. I learned all the mental gymnastics. And I spent about 5 or 6 years really honing that craft. And if you stayed on the phone or you stayed talking to me in person, you bought the thing. There was no two ways about it. One day I'm on my way to work. It's 4:38. It's a Wednesday. I'm in the bathroom looking at myself, getting ready to walk out the door to go to work because I got to drive all the way across Metro to get to work. And I'm standing there and I say to myself, I effing hate you. My life was miserable. I hated Sundays because Monday meant I had to go to work, which eventually became I didn't like Saturday nights because that means tomorrow's Sunday and I'm going to be miserable all day. And I'm constantly frustrated and I'm always mad and I'm always angry and life sucks. I'm making a bunch of money, but this is miserable. I keep this old beat up chair for a reason. I had this thing in both hands, getting ready to throw it through a window to jump out into the parking lot one day because I just had it. I actually quit my job like 2.5 months later, like I couldn't figure it out. And then it occurred to me, the reason that I'm so miserable is because I'm having all of these client interactions, all of these human interactions with people I can't stand. Because in the industry that I came from, you didn't make money when you brought a client on. You then had to manage the relationship. And I had a giant book of active clients that were all people I couldn't stand. And my initial process of what I teach now came out of that. Okay, cool. If I'm going to have this person obligate me with their money and I have to then have a relationship with them, the only way really to make a lot of money in that relationship is the longer they stay and the more they do business with you, the more money you make. If I'm going to have to go through that process, I might as well do it with people that I genuinely dig, I actually care about. And my whole process began to shift. And it changed the way that I identified ideal people in the marketplace. I started telling people no. Like literally my boss and my bosses and the people around me were like, "Are you nuts? You had that guy on the phone and he was ready to buy and you told him no? What's wrong with you?" Well, I went from making 300 phone calls a day to making less than 10 a month. And those 10 that I ended up making weren't cold calls. And I made more money. I had fewer clients that stayed longer. And I didn't hate my life. So that's how this whole thing kind of came to be, was because I decided, you know what? It's cool. I get it. I'm a little bit of an extrovert, which is legit. I'd prefer to not have to people, but I can, and I'm good at it. If I'm going to have to people, I'm going to people with people I genuinely want to spend some time with. And if I don't, there's no amount of a-hole tax that makes that interaction worth it. And that became kind of the driving force behind the whole thing. I ended up getting much higher level clients that sought me out because, wow, the relationship that you built with so-and-so, like, that's amazing, right? They hear about it. They talk about it. It's like Jerry Maguire, right? Like think of the movie Jerry Maguire, right? He gets to the point with his client where he actually cares about his client. He actually likes his client. And at the end of the movie, the other player with the other agent, you know, that fake hug thing, that's like quintessential typical sales today. So that's kind of how it happened.
Got it. So I was just funnel hacking Ryan Stuman. He built a funnel specifically for salespeople. He was like, guys, these funnel people have no idea how to sell their stuff. They have no idea. He's like, go and sell it and then give them like little $500 to go and build it. He's like, no joke, it makes it work. But if you can bridge out the sales and the person who's building it out, whatever type of agency you're building, that makes life easy. And the way that you teach people to get clients is different, because you teach people to get the clients that match your personality, not, you don't bow to their will, right?
Ever. No, this is so you should never look at a client and feel that you're subordinate to them, right? We don't put people on a pedestal. No, we don't go the opposite direction to where we think they're beneath us. We're on the same level. And here's the shortest way that I can explain it. Imagine you're having a barbecue this coming weekend, and you're going to have your 2 or 3 best friends, your spouse's 2 or 3 best friends, and your parents and one of your grandparents. Okay, it's like super tight knit family unit. You've known all these people for a long, long time. If you brought this new client over to that barbecue, would they be a good fit? If not, they're probably not a good client.
Got it. So you're literally people you'd invite over to the barbecue should be your clients, and if they're not that person, don't try to coerce them into whatever you're going to sell.
Yeah, our job as people with something to sell is to identify the right prospects for us, help them down their own path, help them answer their own questions, and if they're a fit, make them a simple offer. That's all sales is. The reason that it's so done the wrong way is because people are trying to fit a square peg into a round hole with the wrong people. If it, like you and I had a brief conversation about this beforehand, think about it like this. When you bring on a client, there's going to be issues. There's going to be problems. Stuff's going to come up that's going to cause problems and headaches. Do you want to be having to deal with people that you don't like, helping them through their problems and stuff that doesn't feel good? Or would you rather go through that process with somebody that you want to help get through that process? Because most of us let other people obligate us with their money, right? And when you hardcore close somebody, you're taking somebody who's not strong-minded enough to make their own decisions, and you're making their decisions for them. I don't know about you, but I don't want to work with weak-minded people. So I don't want to talk people into anything.
Well, and then when you talk them in, suddenly you have to drag them through whatever you're going to do.
That's why it's called a hard close.
Because you have to hard close it the whole way. It's not just that moment. You're like, oh, thank goodness I made that money. The clients that I've enjoyed working with the most are the people who are like, here's my price point. And they're like, I'll pay you this much if you can get it done faster. I'm like, done. And that's the end of it. That's the end. Those are the best clients. And they're excited every step of the way. And I'm like, okay, this is the hack that I've done. This is the build I'm suggesting. This is and they're like, got it. Yes, no, adjust this. Good. That, and they're in for the ride. They asked for the ride. And versus the people I'm like, but we could really make this work. Well, do you have a discount? Yeah, I can have a discount. Do you ever teach anybody to discount their pricing? And if not, do you teach them to throw in other things to make it more valuable?
There's several ways to go about pricing. One, discounts I'm not a big fan of. Pricing should be based on value. And when a client asks you for a discount, in my opinion, that's one of those red flag moments where you say, we might not be the right fit for each other. The problem is most people in the situation where they feel the need to discount, they just don't understand how to communicate the value of what they're doing by actually diagnosing a client's actual problem. Now, discounting and negotiating are two totally different things, right? There are some things that have a price tag. You go to Kohl's and jeans are $65. They're $65. You don't go up to the cashier and start negotiating with it, right? Well, if you're an agency or a service provider or a coach, either you've got a price or it's all negotiable. And if it's all negotiable, my take is you've got the wrong business model. If you're selling cars, homes, right? Those kinds of things where there actually is negotiation in the process, it's not a discount. That's a negotiation.
Got it. And you're building an asset.
Yeah, exactly.
You're not building a pair of jeans.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Got it. So what do you recommend? I know I don't want you to teach your full course. That's not why you're here. But like, what do you recommend as ways for someone to actually start getting in front of that customer who's actually for them? Like, I think the way that you told me was just be goofy and do it loud. But
so my entire process is built around what I call ICA, Ideal Client Avatar. And anybody who's actually got an agency or somebody who's seriously considering starting an agency and they've done any amount of homework in the marketing and advertising world, Ideal Client Avatar is an idea. It's a concept. It's a thing. It's how you target people with paid ads, right? You categorize people based on specific demographics or sociographics, right? Well, we're not in a commodity business, we're in a people business. So what are those demographics that would make somebody a good fit for you? The same kind of values, the same kind of world and global views, right? The same end goals in mind. And the currencies that we choose people, think about your wife, right? Think about your best friend. Think about the neighbor 2 or 3 doors down that you really dig. Why is it that we like those people? It's natural relatability. We are on the same page enough at a value and global view basis that we're the right kind of people for each other. Nobody in business goes at it this way. They go, do they need the thing? Do they want the thing? Do they have enough money to pay? Yeah, cool. Those are criteria. But I want to work with somebody that follows my actual values. I like it when people are on time. I like it when people are courteous. I like it when people are interested on their own to engage with me, right? Those kinds of values are the things that is what's missing from the sales process today. Unless you're selling blue widgets for $4.99, it's not a numbers game, it's a people business.
So get in front of those people.
Yeah. Once you've identified who those people are, then it's pretty easy to go find them in the marketplace. Like, this is the core of what it is that we teach, right? You got to get the right message to the right people at the right time. Well, if you adjust the right people category to actually fit the right kind of people that you want to work with, now you've got the right kind of people. Now you just need to go find them. Cool. Well, people like me do what? People that like the same things that I do hang out where? Right? Totally narrows down the field of vision. Once you see them, you can't unsee them.
So then here's a question. So the biggest issue with agencies is number one, getting the client.
Mhm.
Like knowing that there's enough people there who want your service that you can get them. But number two, it's consistency.
Yep.
Even when you niche down this serious, when you're talking to only the people that you're going to have at your barbecue, people who are like you, share the same things and value enough, is there enough to be able to grow a business really?
Yeah, because it's not about getting more clients, it's about keeping the clients that you've got. And it's really hard to stay in a long-term relationship with people that you kind of sort of half maybe kind of like, right? And that's what differentiates us in the marketing end of that client attraction piece is who we're for and who we're not for, right? So if you're speaking to everybody, you're a marketing guy, you know this. If you're talking to everybody, you're not talking to anybody.
Right.
But if you're talking to a small segment of the marketplace that everybody else is also talking to because they fit a certain set of demographic criteria to utilize an agency, awesome, you're a commodity, right? You might as well be Walmart. Or you can differentiate yourself based on values, worldviews, global views, what you do and don't like. You told me before we started recording this, you guys are between the animals you've got and the animals that you're um, taking care of temporarily. You've got like 30 animals in your house. Like,
Yeah.
that's nuts. But you know what? There are other people, I'm raising my hand, just like that, right? That speaks to me. I'll never forget that about you. That tells me a whole lot of information about what kind of person you are.
Hmm.
Nobody else in the marketplace is being who they are naturally, realistically, in front of the marketplace in small enough little bites like that to where the marketplace can go, oh, that's my kind of guy.
How do you actually get a customer, this person that you've now brought in? You got the right person now. You're talking to from yourself, from your genuine self, bringing somebody who is like you into this relationship. How do you make sure you price yourself correctly? Like, how do you price yourself? Do you believe in going premium and just giving premium at that point? Just go premium, go all the way, or like, how do you define where you price yourself?
How you define how you price yourself is in the marketplace compared to the other people that do the thing that you do. How good are you? Right? Did you take a weekend seminar to learn your craft, or have you been at it for 15 years? If you've been at it for 15 years, are you literally in the top 1% of the 1%? Or are you like mediocre, run of the mill? You bought a course for $997 and now you think you know the thing. You got to be realistic about it. But really, it comes down to how well do you know what it is that you do? And do you know it better than your client does so you can explain their problems better than they can explain it to themselves? If that's the case, yes, you go premium.
Once you get this client, they're premium, you're good to go. How do you keep the client? Like, what's the best way that you do to keep the client? You already like the client. Like, you already know that you're kind of a personality match. I think in my head, the one way to keep the client is just make sure you actually deliver.
Well, that's one little itty bitty tiny piece of it, right? If they love you and you love them and you're not delivering, they're not going to stick around very long, right? If you're delivering and they don't care about you to the point where they don't know your voice to match to your first name when you call them on the phone, right? Somebody else can come in and take that relationship. The real question is, how do you maintain relationships in your actual personal life? Well, if you're good at that, that's exactly how you do it. How do you keep clients long term? You maintain that relationship. Jay Abraham calls it preeminence. How do you become indispensable? How do you become such a trusted advisor and respected and loved and leaned on that they can't go anywhere else? How do you do that? Well, it's the same thing you do in your personal relationships, typically with your inner 3 to 5 people, your spouse, your 2 best friends, right? The neighbor down the street who's 15 years older than you, who has kind of a hard time and all of their family lives out of state and you help take care of them. How do you take care of those people? How do you manage those relationships? Here's an interesting thing. There is no difference between online and offline. And until our culture really understands that there is no difference, there's going to be people that struggle with this. How do I get clients and how do I keep them? Because for some reason we think because we're not sitting in the same room together face to face that it's different. It's not.
Keep going on that. So, like, I remember a couple of years ago, I had a friend who was coaching me, and they were like, the issue with people online is that they think they have a business because they took a course. Like, you don't realize you have to go in the same mindset as if you just bought real estate and you stocked the shelves and you had to pay for everything. When you come into work, there is a different mindset. Having to drive to that building and walk into that building and then just turning on your computer and going, well, what's on Facebook today? Because until you can change that mindset where you are in your physical business the same way you're in your online business, it's not going to make sense. Is that where you're coming from? Is that kind of the same idea?
Yeah, and let's put a caveat out there. And I'm not trying to say a bunch of things to make a lot of people not like me, but here's some truths. Not everybody makes an excellent father. Not everybody makes an excellent mother. Not everybody makes an excellent business owner. Not everybody makes an excellent salesperson. Not everybody makes an excellent Mother Teresa. There are some people that have amazing talents that need to learn other skill sets to be able to utilize those talents. And generally, what I'm speaking of in this sense is people who are really good at a thing. The people that are listening to your podcast, they're agency owners by and large, or they want to start one. Cool. Why? If it's a money grab, that's not always a bad thing as long as they're really good at their actual talent. But then they need this skill set of getting and maintaining clients. How do you do that without, like, because here's the deal. You can go to a 3-day weekend masterclass to learn how to take a bigger person and put them on the ground and harm them to keep your body safe. That's not a 9th degree black belt in jujitsu, right? Well, learning the whole process of selling is kind of similar. But you don't necessarily have to become a black belt in sales to get clients. There's an easier way to do it. But it comes down to knowing the who, being willing to be yourself and understand that it's okay that some people aren't going to like you, so that the people in the marketplace that are looking for somebody like you with your level of skill set, priced correctly, can make a choice. But like that's the whole thing. Most of us, I would imagine most of the people listening to this are between your age and mine, probably in their 30s, maybe very early 40s, right? There's probably some younger kids, but most of us grew up and got through about 7th, 8th grade without computers and smartphones and all that crap. And for some reason, we think when we get behind a computer or behind a smartphone that it's not real life. It's the exact same thing. How would you treat the guy whose business you just walked through the front door if you were going to try and connect with him to sell him your thing? No different on your phone than you would do it in person.
I went to Funnel Hacking Live, and the first time I sold something that was a higher tier price point, I was just talking to somebody at Funnel Hacking Live, and they pulled me over and said, "So and so needs to meet you." And so I was speaking to them. They had their idea of what they wanted their business to be, and as they were talking, and we started going back and forth, I was like, you know what I would do? Literally, this is what I would do. And I just started planting out these ideas. And the minute that I watched how I treat somebody in person and replicated that online, was the minute that like sales became easy.
Mm-hmm.
It became simple because at that point, all I was doing was treating them like a real person, which nobody online will.
Yep.
Everybody else who gets on their client call will be like, well, this is what I think we'll do. We'll send you back a proposal. And on this proposal, I will have all these ideas. Forget the freaking proposal. Take care of the person.
Just have a conversation.
Just have a conversation. Be human.
Yep.
I love it. What's the one question you wish somebody would ask you? Can I give you that as a fun thing? Like,
Yeah,
what's
totally.
the one person everybody doesn't ask?
What would you tell people is the first question they need to ask themselves if their business doesn't seem to be working? My answer is, why do you think you're trying to do that business? There's this concept called timer, TIMER. Time, identity, money, energy, and reputation. These are the 5 currencies that we all operate under. And these 5 currencies need to be in the correct order in every area of our life for us to feel fulfilled, satisfied, and happy. Most of us, quote unquote, in business are pursuing money as the top currency. Most of us in business who are not happy actually have a different currency that should be pursued first. Money's in there, but if you're in business or trying to be in business and it's not working, revisit why you're actually in that business. Here's an interesting fact. More than 70% of people that come into my world and buy more than 2 things from us eventually have this, oh my God moment. This thing I've been doing for however long is not really the thing I want to be doing with my life and my time. And they hit this thing we call the dip. And for some of those people, it's a couple of weeks because it's a minor pivot. And some of those people, it's like literally one of our clients is going on about 18 months of not quite sure what to do because they were pursuing the wrong goal for the wrong reasons. Why is it that you're doing the thing that you're doing? If it's literally for money, then awesome. It's going to take a deep skill set and a lot of talent, which comes with time and experience, to be good enough in a competitive marketplace to generate enough revenue to have enough personal income to meet that goal. And like I said earlier, not everybody's a great father. Not everybody's built to be a perfect mother. Not everybody on the planet's an amazing investor. Not everybody's an awesome brain surgeon. Why is it we're doing what we're doing? If we can answer that question and it feels correct, then we generally have a different perception we can go at our business from. And that's the question that most people I wish would ask me and don't.
Because of the way that you share your message and because of how honest you are, and you've been because of that, you bring people in. Everyone desires that honesty online. Because you've been able to bring people into your business, into your world, and you've been able to teach and help and educate them. You have these courses and they're doing extremely well. But once again, the customer pulled you into teaching the course.
Mm-hmm.
So to that person who is trying to build the course because they've been taught that they need to build the course, same 5 rules apply.
Yep.
Take it back, look at your time,
Mm-hmm.
see if this is actually where you want to be.
Yeah. Just because you can build a course doesn't mean you should. Just because you can coach people doesn't mean you should. Just because you can be an influencer doesn't mean you should. And the should part of all of those responses to those questions is, what is it you're trying to get? And will that get you there? Oh, I want to build a course. Oh man, all these guys are killing it with courses. I'm going to go build a course on this thing. Awesome. There's 15,283 other people that have already built a course on that, and they have way more experience and knowledge than you do, and you don't have any point of differentiation in how you do the thing. Good luck with that. People are tired of buying courses. People are tired of going to master classes. There's a reason for it.
How often do you go live in your Facebook group now?
We actually do planned launches in our main Facebook group now. And generally, there's a 10 to 14 day stint once a month in our group where it's around a slightly different aspect of the thing that we teach. Before this, and this started back April, May, March 2019, we started doing it this way. Before that, it was lots. The first year, literally, it was probably 3,000 hours, a little more than a full-time job and a part-time job. The second year, it was probably somewhere around half that. So lots. I've put probably 5,000 or 6,000 hours of Facebook Lives in our Facebook groups. We've got 7 of them.
Holy smokes.
The one main group that most people know us for is Getting Clients Without Being Salesy. That's our main Facebook group.
Got it. And that's where you do your launches for your products, which are 2 main products.
Yep.
Right now. Is that a training and a coaching?
It's actually 2 different levels of the same thing. Here's what a lot of people get wrong. They teach this thing over here, and then this thing over here, and then this thing over here, and then this thing over here. Really what it is, if you've actually got a skill set, is you teach one thing, and it's either at different levels for people who are at different places in their career, or it's delivered differently. So the course that we focus on mainly in our main group is the foundations of my whole process of client acquisition. And then there are some people that go through that go, awesome, I need something way higher level for this specific reason. And they might be a fit for that next step. Not a lot of people are. Generally, it's somebody who's selling corporate, right? And their things are 50 to 100 grand to start. That's a slightly different thing than, hey, I'm a consultant. I'm a whatever. I want to sell my thing to consumers on the internet in the internet marketing space, right? That's what our main course covers. It's 2 slightly different variations and deliveries of the same concept.
Got it. I've been listening to a lot of different people teach on how to create a course lately. I've helped build one course for one business. Then I've been watching all the other people. Everyone talks about creating your framework. You create, this is how I work. This is how this works. This is everything according to me. This is how I've done it. This is how I understand it. And then you teach that, and you can take that and you can make it simple. You can make it a little ebook. You can make it, expand it out and make it a full week course or a full week, live event. And you decide how big and how small you want to make it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you're doing with your 2 courses.
Yep.
Got it. So that allows you to serve at a higher level, but it's also the same thing. You don't have to recreate the wheel. You're just using the same wheel.
Yep.
Got it. I like
The
that.
process is the process is the process. An attorney's going to use it different than somebody selling lemonade at the park.
What would you say is the most common agency that you work with? I mean, I met you at Funnel Hacking Live, so I'm guessing you meet a lot of people out there who want to be funnel builders. But what's the most common agency you work with?
I don't work with a whole lot of agencies, and here's why. Most of the agencies, in my opinion, that are worth their salt, they've got an established agency. They have an established process they deliver to their clients. They're growing and scaling their business. And here's why I don't work with a lot of agencies. Their idea about growing and scaling a business is about more, which is a numbers game, which is quantity over quality. I teach quality over quantity. So I grow and scale, whether it's a 1-person business or a 200-person business, my focus is a little different. Not a lot of people make it through that filter. The agencies that I do tend to work with typically sell to corporate, and they typically sell a consultancy that is highly specialized. And because of that, there's rarely more than 2 or 3 people in that quote unquote agency. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, because you're selling to people who want more, who aren't doing the long term, and they're small. They're playing a small game. They just want to up that small game. The agencies that are actually doing good stuff are defined. They're big. They're doing just fine
Mm-hmm.
because they're taking everything from the people who sucked.
Yep.
Got it. So then, are you teaching people how to sell courses? Like no, because you're not in that niche either.
My ideal client avatar fits into one of 2 boxes, and the differentiation is small. My ideal client avatar is somebody who's generally been out on their own in their own business for 2 to 3 years. They've tapped out their network because they've got 7 to 10 years experience in their thing, right? They 2 or 3 years ago, they went out on their own because they figured, well, I can do this as a business, make more money, don't have to answer to anybody. Well, that 7 to 10 years that they spent building all the relationships in that space, in that industry, in that vertical, who could be their clients are already their clients. And now they're having a hard time getting new clients. They're a consultant with a high level of skill in their craft. Okay.
Okay.
That's an ideal client avatar for me. The next person is somebody who fits that same mold, but they went out on their own in the last 6 to 12 months and they're having a hard time getting clients. They've got experience, 3 to 7 years experience in their thing. They're actually really good at it. They decided they were going to go out on their own. I'm amazing at this thing. Everybody tells me I should go be my own boss. I did, and now I don't know how to get clients. Those are the 2 categories. So mostly it's consultants who have an actual skill set, right? Whether it's education and experience or all experience. They're really good at their thing, and they don't want a team of 500 people. They want a small team, 3 to 5, 3 to 7 people. They want to do a few $1 million a year. They don't want to work 40 hours a week. They're a consultant. They want to be an advisor, and they're having a hard time getting clients. Those are my perfect for me kind of clients.
Got it. So you're working with consultants at that point who are really good at their craft. And are you a book reading type?
Yes and no. I go through stints where I read books. What do you ask?
Okay. There was a book called the E-Myth Revisited. I was just looking on my shelf. Have you ever read it?
No.
Okay. So it's literally, it's about a guy named Michael Gerber, if I remember right.
Mm-hmm.
And he tells the story as he educates, and he walks into this bakery and he loves the pie that was made at the bakery. He looks over at the owner, and the owner is just dying. And the owner wanted him to come in for he was the consultant, and she was the one who was dying. And he sat down. He goes, "You probably did this because you knew you could do better than what you're doing before. You could do better,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a passion at the moment." They're like,
Yep.
"Yes. How does it feel now? It sucks."
Mm-hmm.
He's like, "Okay, this is where we have to take a step back and realize your business is a business. Your life is your life."
Yep.
So you're almost reaching people almost at the same point then.
Yes.
Very, very similar.
Yep. It's I did the same thing in a sense. I'm a certified chef, and I spent a long time in that industry. It was the first job I had, and once my kids were 2 and 3, nights, weekends, and holidays didn't work for me to be in that industry any longer, right? I learned how to cook because I love food. I love to cook, and man, it sucked to do for a paycheck. Regardless, like I did private catering and the whole 9 yards, and it sucked to do for a paycheck. Most of my clients are amazing at the thing they do. They don't want to run a business. They don't want to be a salesperson for the thing. They want to be able to get hired by awesome clients to do the thing. And a lot of people find themselves there's 2 paths, right? I'm amazing at the thing I do. I'm going to go start my own business, and it's miserable. I want to make a lot of money, so I'm going to go start my own business, and it's miserable. Why is that? Well, because running and managing a business is in and of itself a passion, just like baking, just like building funnels, just like making advertising, right? That skill set, by and large, is a passion. And when the right person with the right skill set is doing that thing, the business explodes. Right? How many people have you come across that they started writing Facebook ads or they started doing whatever, building funnels, and then they're good enough at it. So eventually they get a couple of big clients, they bring on a couple other people. Now they're running the business. They're not doing the ads or building the funnel, and the business is totally taking off. Right? I can think of a couple that you and I both know. Why is that? They were good enough at the thing to be able to leverage that as a stepping stone to build a business. And their genius is actually running and managing and operating a business or leading the team that can do so, which is different than most consultants. Most consultants, their thing, their craft is the thing they do. They just need to get higher priced clients who stay longer, that are easy to get and easy to convert into a client. That's what I do. That's my genius zone.
And so for those of you who are on in Hack That Funnel Radio, you're going to be able to listen to those 2 extra questions, get the full interview. If not, listen on for a little bit longer. But if this has resonated with you, if you've been listening to Landon, you've been like, he's real. If you felt that at all, and you've said, you know what? Maybe I'm playing the game I shouldn't be playing. Maybe I'm doing what I shouldn't be doing. Landon, where should people go to find out more about how to follow you?
Well, you mentioned earlier, I have a podcast myself, Sales Gorilla Podcast. Like if you think there might be something here, but you're not quite sure, you can go totally check that out and get you a bunch more of what I'm about and how I do things. Or our Facebook group, Getting Clients Without Being Salesy, Gorilla Army Nation. Search us on Facebook and ask to join.
Dang, was that cool or was that cool, guys? I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, but I actually do something very, very special. After the interview is done, I actually record 2 more questions. Those 2 questions spark a whole new conversation, and I record those, and I'm happy to give you access to that. All you have to do is go to hackthatfunnelradio.com. When you enter your email address there, I will automatically give you access to every single interview's 2 extra questions and the conversation that sparks off of that. Go to hackthatfunnelradio.com to get your access now.